Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
I finished these fights.
Give me a hell yeah.
Top Rope Nation.
Learn to love it. It's the best thing going today.
What's up? What's up, you guys? Top Rope Nation episode, I don't know, 208, 209, something like that. The WWE WrestleMania Backlash post show. My name's Ryan Drosty, here with Justin Joint and Kyle Ross, here to break down a somewhat divisive show, I would have to say, based on what I've seen on my social media feeds tonight. We're going to break it all down, give you our comments on the show, talk about the highlights, the lowlights of the show, and get you all involved as we go through this podcast as well. So let me throw it around the horn. Welcome everybody back for another edition of this show. Mr. Justin Joint, what's going on tonight, sir?
This is kind of awkward. I thought this was going to be a review show for Tottenham Hotspurs 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. I was assuming Liam was going to be here for this.
Almost messaged Liam saying, hey, man, you got to return if the Hotspurs win today. You're going to have to get on at about 3 o'clock a.m. your time, something like that over in the UK, and join us once again because for those of you who did tune into the show with Liam last week, it was a great show, great discussion. I want to apologize. I should have put an intro on that, but I didn't have time to. My audio was awful on that podcast, had some technical difficulties, but hopefully you all enjoyed Liam's conversation with us. Liam was great, as always. So check it out in the archives for his comments on the Dark Side of the Ring Brian Pillman episode, which he served as an advisor on. Kyle, you joined me on that interview. That was a lot of fun. How are you doing tonight?
Good, as I forgot to put my microphone in front of my face tonight.
Oh, yeah, that whole microphone thing. Shit.
What an absolute comedy of errors. I'll tell you what, man. First comes WrestleMania, then comes the Backlash, huh? Yeah, that Liam show was great. And when I watched the match this morning, I was like Bobby Heenan during Harley Race Haku at Royal Rumble 89. Just stood in neutral corner, and I'll leave with the winner.
Yes. Guys, if you're tuning in live, thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Like I said, let us know in the comments wherever you're streaming the show what you thought of WrestleMania Backlash. We'll get you involved. We're streaming right now on Facebook. We're on our YouTube page. We're on Twitch tonight for the very first time ever. And of course, some of you are probably watching on demand. If you are, please hit that subscribe button on youtube.com. Leave us a thumbs up. If you are on the podcast feeds, please subscribe. And leave us a review. 5 stars. It helps us out every single time.
I have one thing to say now that my microphone's in front of me and I could contribute to this show. This was, in case if you were unclear, the first WWE pay-per-view that wasn't named WrestleMania to have WrestleMania in the name.
Fascinating.
Yes. Peacock being very slick about getting that name out there again for another live show. Although you could not, once again, as Justin and I were very much accustomed to tonight as we were dealing with our kids screaming, could not pause it, could not rewind. So if you didn't catch it live and you wanted to watch, something you missed, you have to wait for the entire show to end, Justin, before you go back and watch it.
It just makes me livid every time, and I know it's coming. I know there's going to come a point where I need to pause it, and I just can't do it. It's unbelievable.
I had that during the WWE Championship, the triple threat match tonight. I was trying to get the kids to bed.
Exactly the same here.
Yeah.
So wait, you actually actively put your kids to bed during these pay-per-views?
Well, there's a book I read my kids, and they were requesting me to read it. So who am I to tell my kids no for the World Wrestling Federation? I couldn't do that. So I had to step up and read a book quickly. But yeah, I mean, come on, man. 2 months on with this WWE Network to Peacock thing, and you can't even rewind still. Ridiculous. $1 billion.
Yeah, I missed the finish. And I was kind of bad about I was actually I just wasn't paying attention to my child at the time, but I was, putting something away and I missed the finish and I look up, I say, you gotta be shitting me.
Yeah.
And then it was the Bayley match and she's like, show the replay. I'm like, okay, that's good. And then they didn't show it.
Of course not.
I thought that was just an absolute troll job. Yeah. I assume it's going to be a big thing for SmackDown.
Yeah. So I want to start off with what we usually do: give the show a grade, and then we'll bring in our Twitter poll results, talk about where people are at with this one. But I'll throw it around the horn: A through F. What did you give? I'll start with Justin. WrestleMania Backlash tonight.
I didn't find, well, outside of one particular match, I didn't find anything overly offensive. Everything inside the ring was pretty solid. I loved the main event. Having said that, I basically cared about none of it coming in. I don't know how much I still care coming out of it. I'm going to go C+.
Okay. C+ for Mr. Justin Joint. What do you got, Kyle?
What if I just say it was very much a WWE B show, B pay-per-view? C+, I guess, sounds okay.
Yeah.
C, I can't go higher. I mean, the latter part of what Justin said really applies to me. I wasn't very into this pay-per-view going in, and I'm not sure I'm very into it going out. Was there some good technical wrestling for 3 hours? Yeah. But I don't think like anything was significant. Like I would never go back and watch this show. Does that not matter anymore? I know some people are like, oh, there's so much wrestling now. You know, it's hard to go back and watch stuff. I don't buy that. If something is like really, really good, I'll go back and watch it. I don't think there's anything, even the main event, which did get pretty hot down the stretch and had some drama to it. I can't imagine throwing that in again anytime soon.
Justin, will you be rewatching that main event? You think?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That'll
probably
resident
be it.
Cesaro mark here.
That might be it, but yeah, I will definitely rewatch that match. I loved it.
Yeah. I felt like it was definitely like a tale of two shows. We were talking off air a little bit about this. The first 3 matches, it was a 6-match card. The first 3 were like pretty average. Like I thought the women's match that kicked things off was like it was good. It was like average good. It wasn't like blow away good. I thought the tag match with the Mysterios was better. And then of course the zombie thing, which we'll get into, was not great. But then after that,
it's only one way to put it. Another way, some might say, is it sucked ass.
But then, you get to the back half of the show. Like, the second half of the show was very, very good. Again, like Bianca Belair and Bayley was awesome. I thought the triple threat was really good. And then the main event was by far the best match on the show. So when you look at it and you're evaluating where do you rank it top to bottom, if I'm saying like C is an average show, like what you guys said, C+ is about right. Because I was coming in probably around the main event. I was saying C- for the show. I really liked the main event a lot. So at this point, I'm probably C+ for the pay-per-view too. C to C+. That's where I'm at. Let's look at what our Twitter followers have given the show. So got it on the screen here. As of last check, we've got 77 votes in the Twitter poll. 53% have given the show a B. Actually had about 17% given an A. Roughly the same, 18.2% have it at a C, and 11.7% a D or F. But yeah, I think C+ is about right for this one. What do we got going on in the chat right now? Yeah, Kyle.
I was going to say, I said it before and I'll say it again right now. For me, evaluating a show, just does not start at 7 p.m. Eastern, or for that matter, end at 10 p.m. Eastern. I think, how they, my interest level going in absolutely matters. And I think, what comes out of the show matters.
Mm-hmm.
With modern WWE, yeah, if you just watch a vacuum, like, oh, there were some good matches tonight, but a lot of it just ends up not mattering. And, you look at the Raw side and you kind of knew this coming in, but the 2 triple threats were just basically feud extenders in the sense that, okay, there's one person that's going to continue chasing. And this doing a triple threat was just a way to extend that, get him in the ring with the champion. This is Charlotte in the case of the women, Drew in the case of the men. They don't have to lose. We'll have the third person lose in each instance, and we'll move on to a singles match down the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, hey, Frank.
We got Frank checking in from PW Torch. We got Camille, patron of the show, checking in. Frank says, "What up, handsome gents?" Thank you, Frank. You're too kind. Take away the BS zombie crap, and I enjoyed the show. Yeah, I mean that was definitely the low light. I think.
I think that's going to be a pretty common assessment.
Yeah.
From the majority of people.
It's been said before. I'm pretty sure we've said it before. But a big thing for me is I just couldn't be more over the Thunderdome, and it just feels so sterile, and there's just no energy to these. And that's big for me personally. A big part of why I'm not going to go back to a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I really noticed it in the Mysterios match because the way that match was built with, the one guy just getting all that heat on him and you're building the hot tag and no live crowd. That kind of match, is designed to be in front of a live crowd. And I think it really kind of hurt being in the Thunderdome. I don't know what awards that's won. I've given it no awards. The award-winning Thunderdome.
Yes.
I'd say the same thing. There's a couple moments in the Cesaro match too, where I was like, oh man, if there was a crowd there, it'd bring this to a whole nother level, but it's just not there. And I think we're going to be stuck with it for a little while longer.
How would the crowd have reacted to the lumberjack match with zombies?
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
Well, they probably would have all been eaten.
Yeah.
Yes. They would have been dragged underneath to wherever the hell.
Well, they would have had to get in the ring so that the zombies didn't follow.
Yeah, wherever John was.
Did we ever get a report on Morrison?
He was dragged underneath somewhere. Straight to hell. Straight to hell.
He's dead?
He's dead. He is dead. He is dead. Rest in peace. Yeah, when Dominic Mysterio started lumbering out to the ring, the piped in chants or like the crowd noise started before they even showed him. And it's like, come on, man. They don't see him coming down yet. Yeah, that would have been helped by a live crowd, specifically that match for sure. I guess, we had a video up on the YouTube channel the other day talking about this, but our friend Andrew Zarian over at Matman broke the news. July 16th, SmackDown, Friday, July 16th, that show is going to have a live crowd. That's when WWE is apparently going to go back on tour, or at least for that weekend, go with a live crowd, because then Sunday the 18th, reportedly, Money in the Bank, according to Mr. Zarian, and then the 19th, Raw the next night, also will have a live crowd. So
I know it, much respect to Andrew for getting that report, but I don't think I've ever been sadder for someone I know to get a scoop, in the sense that I was really hoping Money in the Bank had been forgotten. And they were just going to keep, because remember, originally they were talking about it for this date, right? And then it got pushed back. And then when I saw that commercial for Hell in a Cell, I said, oh my God, are they rethinking this Money in the Bank?
Mm-hmm.
Finally, because the creative team they hate that briefcase. The non-committal way WWE books, the last thing that they want to have to do is sell Vince McMahon on a storyline that's going to take place months in advance, because that'll get changed. For God's sake, they had two different guys hold the briefcase the last 12 months, and they struggled to come up with a storyline for either of them.
Hey, maybe we'll have Cesaro get it this year.
You guys probably think he'll win, don't you?
I don't know if I'd go that far, but keep this guy strong. Keep this guy strong after that. Let's start at the top here. So Frank was in the chat. He said, not super shocked Rhea retained was the other thing I wanted to say, but I still need more character development for her. Winning a triple threat doesn't fully accomplish that. Yeah, I mean, we could talk about it. Let's start with the opening match, the triple threat.
Should we talk about the pre-show first, or should we talk just to get that out of the way? Did either of you guys watch Sheamus versus your boy Rick O'Shea?
Yeah,
I saw a little of it, but not the whole match. Yeah.
Okay.
I just saw that he was wearing like street clothes.
Yeah, and I know some people were like, well, it's an open challenge, so it's naturally where street clothes. But have they ever explained how that works?
No.
The open challenge, like, does somebody just run to the gorilla position and say, I got it, it's me. I mean, how exactly does the open challenge work? I don't think that's ever been explained.
It's never been explained.
And I'd like to know, quite frankly. So, Ricochet, not his, if for those of you into gear, I don't think it was his most impressive gear. I thought this match was kind of worked like an 88 house show, to be quite honest with you. Very slow. WWE matches are worked too slow. I'm going to say it, and I don't care if anyone agrees with me or not. I'm going to say it.
I guarantee you, this is the only Backlash post show that just referenced this match was worked like a 1988 house show. This is why the people tune into Top Rope Nation. I love that.
It was just
love
like,
that reference, man.
It was just like they were like kind of like, I don't know, grinning at the camera, and it would just be like a move and just sort of resting. It was boring. Sheamus won. By the way, I think the open challenge is just the in perpetuity idea they have for every U.S. champion because it worked so well with John Cena. Mm-hmm. Like, I just think that now it's like, all right, we've got a U.S. champion. What do we do with them? I don't know. Let's have him issue open challenges because that works so well for John Cena. Realizing that, like, no one is as big a star as John Cena and, like, how important John Cena was to making that work.
Yeah.
But, Ricochet loses, and I was just so sad when he got his heat back and he put the coat on.
Yeah, that was bad.
I mean, he ran away after being beaten clean. So much for getting us invested in main event and that, all-timer series he's allegedly having with Mustafa Ali. Have you caught any of those, either of you?
No.
Nope.
I want to know why none of the top NXT talent ever come up for these open challenges anymore. That's what made it something
because
that was exciting, right?
They don't know because you have to run to gorilla position and yell, it's me, Vince, I go next.
Hey, they don't have to travel across the country anymore like they used to, at least.
Yeah. I have not seen any of the Ali matches either. The great Tate Machine, he's a great follow on Twitter. Mm-hmm. He reviewed all of them, and it was kind of what I expected. They're like slightly better than normal WWE matches. So it's so odd, though, that here's this guy trying to get himself over on main event, right? Hasn't Ricochet spent the whole weekend? You guys got to watch main event. Me and Ali tear the house down every week. And then they just beat him. And just like, who's the other guy? Mansoor. Like, not a lot of people know this. This guy was on a 50-match unbeaten streak on the B shows. And then he loses by, I think, DQ or something to Cesaro. Like, on his first time on Raw. Like, why even bother with that stuff? Like, it's like they realize, somebody's getting over on these B shows. Well, let's bring them up and beat them.
Bob checking in. Cena's open challenge against KO, one of my favorite matches of all time. Yeah, that was awesome. That Sami Zayn as well. I mean, the gimmick worked great. Well, Sami Zayn got injured at his entrance, but still, it was pretty memorable. So yeah, it hasn't been the same since John Cena. They tried to recapture the magic without doing any of the same stuff, right? So yeah,
I wish I had the cojones to share that tweet about Ricochet dabbing, but no way am I saying that on this air. There was a great tweet. Somebody should hit Ricochet dabbing. Or no, I don't think Ricochet will work for that, will you?
I don't remember who tweeted it. Yeah, you sent it to me though.
It was Vic Damone Jr. Check his Twitter account. I'll mention his name.
So we get this triple threat, and people were kind of, at least in my social media circles, they were like a little paranoid that Rhea Ripley might be dropping the title already to Charlotte. And, we've talked about on this podcast a lot about the missteps with Rhea Ripley last year and everything. And so it was nice to see Ripley retain. She beat Asuka. She didn't beat Charlotte. So clearly, I think, you move into the Charlotte program still moving forward. Camille was in the chat saying Rhea should have pinned Charlotte, tired of Asuka being beat all the time. Yeah, I just feel like, don't you think they're just saving the Charlotte thing?
Yes.
Yeah. So
that was clear. Again, like I said at the top, both triple threats on the Raw side tonight were just extenders.
Yeah.
And they just beat the third wheel in both instances.
I guess about this match, what I'll say is down the stretch, it heated up a little bit. Like they did work really quick at the end into the finish, and that was good stuff. It was your standard WWE triple threat. Someone gets hurt, lays around, singles match. Someone gets hurt, lays around, singles match. And that was pretty paint by numbers. I mean, overall, like I said at the top, I thought the triple threat that opened was pretty average overall for a WWE triple threat. Kyle and I were on the exact same wavelength because Kyle was in our Facebook group and he posted something like literally exactly as I tweeted something out from the @Top Rope Nation page. And it was almost word for word the same thing. Standard WWE triple threat match, decent match, but I didn't think it was anything to write home about. Some people on Twitter were incredibly high on that match, which shocked me a little bit. I mean, if you liked it, more power to you. I just thought it was pretty average.
You guys have been potting together so long that your wrestling takes have synced up.
Kyle's rubbed off on me. His takes, his brain is infiltrating my brain. He's like he's like a zombie. He's like a zombie. Yes.
So my one big complaint about this match is that they completely missed when Charlotte gave the boot to Asuka.
Yes,
it sent her to the floor because I didn't see that, and so I'm, Rhea Ripley hits her finisher, and I'm like, well, why isn't Charlotte jumping in there? She's just on the apron.
I was confused too.
So wait, that's what happened. That the momentum of the big boot took Charlotte out of the match. Okay, because I was like, what happened? Why didn't she break it up? I thought the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Riptide, Asuka gets beat.
Okay. I have a lot to say on the finish myself.
Okay.
Adnan Virk, God bless his soul, telegraphed this finish. And he did it in the Raw triple threat too. Did you guys notice this? I didn't see a lot of chatter on Twitter. He got really, really excited. And I was like, this is going to be the finish. I would love for someone to replay when Rhea hit the Riptide, because he did it in this over-the-top way that you knew they kind of fed it to him and he just delivered it poorly. And you just knew it was going to be the finish when he did it. And it was the same thing with the Raw men's triple threat. When Lashley hit that spear, he called it in a way that it's going to be the finish. It was funny. Meltzer was complaining about WWE announcers on the show telegraphing when it wouldn't be the finish. But I didn't notice that as much as Virk telegraphing the two finishes. Ryan, I agree with you completely that Rhea and Charlotte is the destination here. It's funny the way Charlotte is presented versus the other two. Even though Rhea's the champion, they still meaning WWE, and push Charlotte as the biggest name in the division. Charlotte, she may not like them, but she respects them. That's clear. So the big match, I guess, is Rhea and Charlotte, and Rhea can hopefully get her win back from WrestleMania, and then Triple H can be proven correct that they had a plan in mind this whole time.
Yeah.
But I just think that this was just a way to not do Rhea and Charlotte one-on-one yet. It was probably a good idea to do a triple threat, as average as it was, because Rhea and Asuka have no chemistry whatsoever one-on-one. That their match at WrestleMania wasn't that great, and that match the night after on Raw was just downright awful. Yeah. Not to be mean, but it was. Charlotte, as per usual, split the uprights on her moonsault. It's amazing how she does it every time. Two people, every triple threat, there'll be two persons in there, and she will just land dead in the middle of both of them. It is just without fail. It's great.
Her arms will just kind of graze the two of them, and they'll just knock themselves out like they got hit with a bomb. Yeah. Doesn't look great. I mean, it's an impressive.
It's an impressive
feat,
flip,
but it doesn't look like it would hurt anybody.
I feel like that's more on the people on the floor, right? I mean, she can only aim so much. They're supposed to be the ones catching her.
Step into it a little bit more.
Basing it is an issue in the World Wrestling Federation. No one's going to mention Charlotte's gear. You guys are gear people.
Cruella.
Yeah, that was sweet. I like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
The one other thing I didn't like about this match was Ripley's antics at the very end of it.
Yes,
on the top rope doing the nana boo boo stuff.
So didn't she do that in the video for the Oscar? It was a moving video thing when they introed the match. You know how it used to just be the two guys standing next to each other at the old WrestleManias? The logo or whatever for the match. Well, she did that to Asuka like this. That's bad.
Really bad.
Yeah. Chris checking in the chat. Perfect timing. So they made Rhea look like a little kid with her taunts at the end. Exactly. Yeah. That was not. I think people are still trying to understand. Rhea Ripley, heel face. I guess she's kind of a heel, but it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, but if she's feud with Charlotte, she's going to be a baby face.
Exactly. They kind of move back and forth.
Yeah,
they move back and forth. Asuka, I guess, was the true baby face in this match, but yeah.
And I kind of want to back up your take earlier, right, about this being the most average of WWE triple threats. It was about average, I think. I don't know. It was just it just felt like, here is your triple threat format, ladies. Fill in the blanks, a couple, you guys hit your specialty moves, but it's it was laid out in a way that no matter who was working that match, like it would have been worked the exact same way. It would have been some different specialty moves in the spots, but the specialty moves would have been hit the same spots, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's the typical WWE criticism is it's the whole company paint by numbers,
Yes.
work the same style. Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So yeah, that was the third longest match on the show. They got a little over 15 minutes, and then they went into the Mysterios taking on the Dirty Dogs, your boys, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. And this one was, I think it was predictable. This is something that our friend Kyle Ryan over in our Facebook group, he has been very adamant about that. Look, this should have happened on WrestleMania. They should have had the father-son tandem win the titles at WrestleMania. They didn't. They saved it for this show. Of course, we got the title change. We've already kind of talked about this at the top where, with the crowd reaction with Ray working from underneath throughout most of the match, working 2-on-1, and then the injured Dominic Mysterio kind of hobbles out and eventually gets the win with the frog splash. I thought in this match, Dominic looked pretty green when he, like the little bit he was in there. We've been very complimentary on Dominic on the podcast in the past. He's very new to the business. He should look green. But obviously, he has a ways to go. He's got the genetics to be very, very successful in the business, but he's on the biggest wrestling program in the world right now, largely because of his father. I don't think anyone would argue that, but a cool moment to see Rey Mysterio and his son capture the SmackDown tag team titles. I thought this was the best match of the show. It was better than the women's triple threat to open. It would have helped to have had a live crowd actually there for this one. So, do you guys have anything to add other than what we stated at the open?
I think the Dirty Dogs are not a bad tag team.
I had the same thought. I was going to say I'm embarrassed to admit that I'm kind of into them.
Like if it wasn't for the fact that, they made Robert Roode feel so insignificant before this team was created and like there's such a sense of fatigue with Ziggler, like I'd really like them probably. They are a good heel tag team. I just think it's a case of everyone just kind of like no one really bought them as any kind of long-term thing. It'll be interesting what they do with them now that they're not the champions anymore. I don't think they're going to win them back. If you look at the future SmackDown tag team title direction, I would assume the Usos are going to be the next tag team champions. I think eventually they'll get on the same page and they'll be the ones to beat the Mysterios. Knowing WWE, it'll probably be on Father's Day and Dominic will turn on Ray. That would just be par for the course. So, there is one other thing I did want to mention as I look at my notes. People always say, what's wrong with WWE? And sometimes we talk about how they've got the same people on the TV for so many years. Oh my God, this guy's been around. We always go back to poor Dolph in that regard. Well, I'm going to go back to him again here. So you got the Street Profits gathering dust on the sidelines right now. Okay. And I'm not saying the Mysterio thing wasn't a good story. It was a good story, but the Street Profits are just out there gathering dust, not doing anything with them. And this is like a new, fresh act that should be the cornerstone of your tag team division. And, I'm watching this TV and you see Rey Mysterio and Dolph Ziggler, two guys that wrestled each other at like SummerSlam 2009.
Yeah.
2009.
It's an issue.
So, when you talk about the staleness, and we've been joking, how 2009 to 2021, 12 years doesn't feel like WWE's changed that much in 12 years. Compare that to pick a year from the 90s and its 12-year equivalent in the early aughts.
So you mean people that were working at the inaugural SummerSlam in '88 weren't working at SummerSlam 2000?
No,
deep into the Attitude Era.
No, that's the.
Can you even freaking imagine?
Yeah,
crazy.
I'm not saying it's horrible. I want these people to be sent to some nursing home or Legends house, as it will. But I just think that's an interesting thing that I don't think a lot of people would notice, and I believe it needs to be brought up here. But Dominic, I agree with you. In his limited role, wasn't that great. I thought Rey Mysterio was tremendous in this match, though.
Yeah.
And speaking of gear, throwback to classic Batman, gray and blue.
Yeah, that was sweet too. Enjoyed that.
And did I maybe mishear this? But I swear that they didn't outright say it. But on the replay when they were showing Donovan's frog splash. It seemed like they insinuated it was the best in the biz right now when they have Montez Ford on the same brand.
God, yeah. Yeah, they did kind of say that, I guess, when they showed the replay. Dominic put that it was a good looking frog splash, but my God, Montez Ford gets about 6 feet higher. Yeah, that's not great. Yeah.
Well, Cesaro was also an upstart, according to Michael Cole tonight. So I don't know. Whoever's feeding these, and by the way, this was, of course, I don't know if you guys heard about this. Throughout the match, the Dirty Dogs definitely had the numbers game.
Yeah.
It was all about the numbers game. I was waiting for that Royal Rumble video package to randomly start playing.
Hey, man, I just want to say in conclusion that this is why people tune in to this podcast, because if you have listened to Top Rope Nation for any length of time, you have heard Kyle Ross rail on Dolph Ziggler, and you just heard him say the Dirty Dogs are a good tag team. That is objective. We are objective on this.
They're a very good heel tag team.
They are.
Yep.
I agree.
Loved the Rude throwing Ray to the outside into Dolph's super kick. That was a great little spot.
What does it say on their, not Titantron or the video boards when they come out? That isn't cool what it was. I didn't write it down, but it was like something we're too good, too bad. I didn't like that
like the thing when they're coming down the ramp, like the notes about them. Yeah.
That maybe they could scratch that part, but otherwise, a good working heel team.
Ryan checking in. Ryan Gorman here in the chat says WWE has really blown it with the Street Profits. Their stuff with the Viking Raiders was awful. Yep, and now they aren't even the top babyface team on SmackDown.
I'll say this: perhaps down the road, I mentioned the Usos maybe beat the Mysterios. We do Street Profits, Usos. That could be, 6 months from now, a potential hoot.
Chris said, did anyone notice that the video packages were longer than normal? I mean, I noticed at the top of the show because we got that long. Oh, we got to mention this. That long intro with the Dave Bautista movie, intertwined.
More on that later.
Yeah. Then we had Adnan Verk welcome us to the show. And then they went to a video package for the women's match. It was almost 10 minutes before we actually got the people coming out for the first match, they were extremely lengthy. I thought. I agree, Chris.
They were stretching because, this show basically went 3 hours proper, did it not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. A lot of these B shows in recent months have been going closer to 2.5, 240. So yeah, it felt like they were stretching a little bit with the video packages, maybe.
Yeah. Well, you just hinted at it, Kyle. More on that in a second. We got the Lumberjack match with Damian Priest defeating The Miz. The Miz, who was the WWE champion not all that long ago, involved in a match with zombies surrounding the ring. Again, the crossover with the what is the movie called? The Dave Bautista movie?
Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead. So okay, a couple things. Again, it's funny to see. I think I tweeted this out during the show. Kyle, you mentioned it, that WWE didn't think Dave Bautista's Hollywood career would take off. Back around the time of WrestleMania 30, he was telling them about Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's been pretty well documented that they thought, oh, that's not going to be any big thing. Dave Bautista freaking took off in Hollywood, and now they've got a pay-per-view themed around one of his movies for half the show.
It's not just their own talent that they're not good at identifying.
Yes.
It's also films. They're not identifying which ones are going to get big.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that led to some hard feelings between Dave Bautista and Triple H.
Yes, it did.
Because it was Triple H specifically that was like, oh, yeah, it's not going to be that big. I think Batista did like a Triple H impression about it once. That made me laugh.
So, like some of them, you got to give them a break because this is crossover. This is, a sponsor coming in, which is definitely why they did it. But holy shit, was this bad? This was so bad.
So I've got a question. I missed basically this entire match because I was trying to distract my kid because I didn't want him seeing that. Ryan, you were very upset about the Bray Wyatt stuff at WrestleMania. Did this one not bother you as much?
So here, Yeah, I did think of that because I had just gone downstairs at my house away from my kids to watch it. And I turned, hey, it wasn't the first match. So I still had it on upstairs, and then they showed that backstage, and I ran upstairs really quick, and I turned off the TV before my youngsters could see the zombies.
Man, you guys are like much better parents than me. Like Mazzy watched this and she's like, "Are those zombies?" I was like, "This is very bad."
I mean,
Cammy's like, "Can you explain this to her?" I was like, "These are just people acting, Mazzy, and Daddy doesn't like it at all." He's like, "Daddy's going to talk to his friends later, and he's going to make fun of this because it stinks. It absolutely stinks."
Yeah, it was. I didn't think it was as scary as like some of the Fiend stuff. I mean, the mask on the Fiend can be pretty jarring for little kids. This was just kind of silly, stupid stuff. Like my daughters, when they saw the Elvis zombie, they would have been like, "Oh, that's Elvis," because they know Elvis from me being a big fan. But no, they wouldn't. I don't think it would have bothered them too much. But I did turn off the TV. I wanted to turn off the TV for me though, because this was freaking awful stuff. It was not great. I know, like, on one hand, there was people defending it. On one hand, you got to say, like...
I want a name who was defending it. I want you to name somebody.
Jonathan Snowden on Twitter was defending it. You know Snowden,
No,
right?
he was.
Yes,
I do.
Because, he mentioned that,
You're ribbing me. You're ribbing me on that. Oh, my God. Of course he was. The voice of conscience on wrestling Twitter.
Hey, man, I like some of the stuff he puts out, but I'll say he was standing up for it. And on one hand, I didn't like it. I did not like it. But I can see how you can say, like, look, this is a company whose top star was basically a zombie, one of their top stars for 30 years too, The Undertaker.
Yeah,
right?
And when they tried that stuff in the mid-90s, it sucked ass too. Like it was funny. I'm just sitting there and I'm going, I'm sorry, honey. Because this was on like when we were eating dinner, I think, or finishing up dinner. And my wife goes, "So you don't like when they do this kind of stuff?" I said, "Nope. It's real bad." It's just like, it made no sense. Like, you had Priest fighting the zombies at some point. Morrison came out for some spots. They kind of blew a near fall somewhere in all this. And then the zombies ate the heels. I'll say this, at least Priest won. And then he did his little Archer thing, and we got a commercial for the movie.
I mean, it didn't make much sense that the zombies come down and then they just stop at the ring, right? They were very respectful of the rules of a lumberjack match. I guess we could say that, because they didn't get into the ring. They patiently waited on the outside and just kind of casually were grabbing under the bottom ropes. And yeah, like as we said, they dragged Morrison down into the darkness, and we had Damian Priest get the victory. Whatever.
Priest is a guy who, and I think we maybe talked about this post WrestleMania, should be in like a U.S. title program with Sheamus.
Yeah. Because
Sheamus is a good U.S. champion, to the earlier point. I don't think he should have lost to Ricochet tonight. But Priest is a guy who, God, at least, he lost to Miz like right after WrestleMania, but he's beat him twice since. So that's, I wouldn't have had him lose at all, but I don't know. I guess he won the feud, and I assume he'll go on to something else. The Miz Morrison act is awful. I feel like Morrison makes, Morrison's a guy in the ring, can do some cool moves, but character-wise, I just feel like Morrison makes Miz so dorky by association. Is that a harsh criticism? If so, I'm not going to take it back.
Wait, so Morrison makes the Miz dorky? Because yes. I think the Miz was already pretty dorky.
I think Morrison amplifies it. I just like these guys, like, I don't know what they're doing, like Johnny Drip or whatever, this like it's just bad. Yeah, well, at least this match only lasted 7 minutes. And when you go from this to the next one, it's almost like, and this is where you cut the show in half, because you had this, which was awful. First two matches, which were like decent, but not spectacular. But then if you then start here and you watch to the end of the show, you would be like, this is an A pay-per-view, because it's hard to believe that the same company that just put all those zombies out there would then have this Bianca Belair Bayley match, which was phenomenal. I mean, you literally went from zombies to a video package showing Bianca Belair's WrestleMania win, which was like the highlight of WrestleMania. And you're like, how the F can this be the same company?
right? And then
Hey,
I mean, Bianca is awesome.
They once did Bret Owen in a cage and went to Undertaker Underfaker.
That is true. That is true. I'd rather watch that than the zombies, though, I will say. So this match was this turned the tide. It was a really good match. Obviously, Bianca retained. There was a spot at the end where Bayley had been using Bianca's hair, to her advantage, which people opposing Bianca Belair often do. But Bianca ended up rolling up Bayley, using her hair to get the victory. I mean, good match. It's good to see Bayley in the title picture after not being involved at WrestleMania. What did you guys think of it? And for those of you in our chat rooms watching along right now, let us know what you thought of the SmackDown women's title match.
I missed quite a bit of this one because of an ornery kid. But they really got me with the near fall towards the end where Bayley turned the ripcord into the belly to Bayley for a close 3 count. There was a split second. It's like, oh shit, they're going to put the title back on Bayley, but glad they didn't. Right person won. Good match from what I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one where I missed the finish and sadly couldn't rewind. Fucking Peacock. But the match overall was good, and I thought Bayley in particular was great. It really says a lot when you know there won't be a title change. I had written on Facebook earlier today, I mean, it's like next to 0 that I thought we were getting a change here. Yet the performers are able to keep you engaged, kind of like what Justin was saying there. So, yeah, they did a great job. You would think that there's going to be some sort of rematch based on that finish. Yeah. Whether it's like in Hell in a Cell, I don't know, but they're obviously going to work each other at that pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't really have, I'm thinking about, they got, they just had Bianca and Sasha work, so they can't go back to Sasha yet. Sonya Deville is, doing the backstage stuff on Raw and SmackDown right now. Yeah. You had Tamina and Natalya win the tag titles.
They're going to be talking about that in documentaries 30 years from now.
So, I mean, who do you have for a challenger for Bianca Belair? Bianca worked Carmella right before WrestleMania, so then that leaves you the Riot Squad. I guess Reckoning is part of SmackDown now.
I mean, look,
that's it. That's the entire division.
I don't care that they're going to go. I think they should, because I think, this was the kind of match that shows, it's a good first match between the two. We've talked about that before, when somebody works there's a pairing that's going for the first time on pay-per-view, unless if it's going to be an end-all be-all, you do want to save a little bit for down the road, right? If they're going to work multiple times. I actually think the beauty of the Bianca-Sasha match was they left a little bit for down the road. I didn't think that was a match of the year contender, but I could see how if they did a rematch, maybe it could get there. So, these two, they had a very good match, and it had, a typical B pay-per-view finish where, this feud must continue, but it's cool. Just because, oh, hey, this feud must continue, that can be good. To be honest, I liked it better here than the lame way Raw did it with the 2 triple threats. Yeah,
agree. I mean, you can always work in the Bayley Sasha stuff too into the feud somehow. Sasha gets mad at Bayley, that all kind of connects, and Sasha ends up challenging again at some point too. But yeah, it's not the deepest roster right now over on SmackDown for women's challengers, that's for sure. Let's see. Ryan was checking in. Sasha versus Bayley versus Bianca Hell in a Cell, triple threat Hell in a Cell.
I think Sasha may have made some comments. Somebody posted that Sasha doesn't want to work Hell in a Cell again or something. Somebody saw it on Twitter. I'm not attributing my name to that quote, but I thought somebody tweeted that today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I would be opposed to going back to Sasha around SummerSlam time, doing a big rematch there.
Yeah,
from WrestleMania.
I can see that for sure. Bayley just kind of feels like a good first feud. I mean, Bayley's not going to win the title from Bianca. I would be shocked if that happened. Bianca is definitely going to hold it for a while.
Yeah, same. So this one, I think I mentioned at the top, this was one that I was in and out of because I was trying to get my kids to bed, but the triple threat. Now, Kyle, you had mentioned in our Facebook group, and by the way, if you all are not part of our Facebook discussion group, join. A lot of fun conversations happen over there. We had a live thread during the pay-per-view. Link in the podcast description or right here on YouTube. Join the Facebook group. But Kyle, you put out a post earlier today where you said, I think it was over under for title changes. And I think you said 1.5.
Yes.
Right. So some people thought maybe Bobby Lashley would drop the title tonight. This one was like a little bit unpredictable. I felt he would probably keep it, but you could maybe see it happening.
It's a triple threat. And, triple threats are great for WWE's non-committal booking.
Yep.
Yes.
That's why they do so many of them.
Camille, perfect timing checking in. No more triple threats, please. Yeah. Bobby retained. Bobby retained. But from the parts that I saw, it was a very strong match. Really, really strong match. You guys, your thoughts. Kyle, you saw most of it. You said, I think, Justin, you said you were in and out on this one too.
Yeah, agree with what you said. From what I saw, it looked like a really fun Hoss fight.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch this one, and that's one of the disadvantages of doing our show live immediately after the pay-per-view, especially with Peacock, is if you miss anything, we don't really have time to rewatch it. But Kyle, you saw most of it. Give us your take.
Saw all of this one. Good effort by everyone involved. They did a thing where Drew threw Lashley in the LED boards, and that gave Lashley a chance to just lay out for a while until the finish when he came in and stole the pin. Like I said earlier, this was the second triple threat of the night on the Raw side that was just there to prolong a certain challenger's title chase. Charlotte, in the case of the women, and Drew here. I thought this was a noticeably better triple threat than the women in the opener. Verk again telegraphed the finish with how he called. As soon as Lashley his last with the spear, he was so overly excited about it. I was like, oh, well, that's it. And it was. I assume Drew McIntyre is going to get one final chance at the title, probably in a Hell in a Cell match against Lashley, and will win it there.
It's Hell in a Cell. You got to do it, right?
Yeah,
that time of the year.
Yes.
Got to do it.
I guess it kind of makes sense. It'll be interesting if they, I don't know, if there's any, added steps. Drew's I'll never challenge for the title again if I don't win it. This is my last shot. Or if MVP puts that in there storyline-wise. I would do something like that and have Drew win the title.
Yeah, I could see that. So, Cesaro and Roman Reigns, a hell of a match. Fellas, we know Justin was rooting hard for Cesaro, and I texted in our group text right before. I'm like, oh, they're teasing the dissension with the Usos right before the match. Roman's not going to have them out there. Title change. I was being sarcastic, but hey, man, they made you buy in. I mean, Cesaro, you were saying in the group text too, Justin, he gave it everything he had, right? I mean, I felt like the first maybe 1/3 of this match, it was pretty average, but then they stepped it up and slow. I was invested. It was very, very slow early, but I got really, really invested as it went on, and it was great stuff. I mean, the best match of the show by far.
Yeah, for me, it was once Cesaro got thrown to the outside and really started selling the shoulder being injured. Mm-hmm. For me, that's when it really picked up. A really hard hitting match. Cesaro was kind of covered in bruises and scrapes, kind of all over from how much they were really going at each other. A lot of great spots in this match. Loved the corkscrew uppercut into the Superman punch. And my favorite moment, Cesaro switching arms when he was doing the sharpshooter because he couldn't hold on to it because of
awesome.
The shoulder. Yeah. Good stuff. And then to kind of call back to what Kyle was saying about these first matches and you don't put everything into them, a pretty major move was completely absent from this match, which I think is very telling that there's probably going to be more to come down the road. And it could be down the road quite a ways because it looks like we're getting Cesaro and Rollins, but there wasn't even an attempt at a swing in this match. So that tells me that we might be seeing this again, maybe late this summer.
Yeah. I would not mind a rematch whatsoever. I think Cesaro and Rollins, they're probably going to do a Hell in a Cell match, but I really, really want them to keep Cesaro strong. I don't have a lot of confidence that they will, but I mean, look at this dude went out there with just a few weeks of build to make him a challenger that you think like that you could actually buy against Roman Reigns, and you bought it, dude. Like he got everybody to buy in. It was an awesome match, and they went back and forth, and you thought he was beat. You know, he had him in the guillotine, and he'd get out. That one point where he was in the choke and Cesaro lifted Roman up like dead weight, that was awesome. I like that. I like the corkscrew uppercut that you mentioned, Justin. He also did like an corkscrew plancha to the outside, which is really cool. This is a match that I may actually rewatch at some point because I really enjoyed it. And it just shows again that Cesaro is a guy for 7-8 years. He's kind of been there as someone who the fans really like, the hardcore fans really like a lot. And we've always saw him as a guy that they could do more with. And this show, like, again, he illustrated it right here that this is a guy who could be at that main event level consistently if he gave him a shot at it. And so right. I would like to see him keep him strong coming out of this so that he's always kind of in the picture.
Now I just need you to mute Kyle and send it home.
Kyle, come in and piss all over all of that. Go ahead.
You guys are way more optimistic people than I am.
Oh, I said I'm not optimistic. But okay. I would like to see it. Again, I'd like 6-pack abs and to go back to college and have a bunch of threesomes, but that's probably not in the cards. Okay. All right. It's also why you tune into this podcast, people.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of things I'd like. I'd like a mouthful of cocaine in front of my computer right now, but again, that's not going to happen. Okay. Look, I think you're right. It started slow, but once they hit the home stretch, it did get really great. Cesaro selling the arm. I was surprised that the family stuff didn't factor at all into the finish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because the video package kind of made it clear, I thought, that the family stuff was more important than Cesaro. So I was waiting for something like that. Look, man, the way Cesaro was beaten down, I don't know if he's getting another shot. I don't know why. I mean, he tapped clean. I mean, yeah, of course he wrestled well. I mean, you knew that was going to happen. I wouldn't be shocked if he lost to Seth Rollins next month.
It's probably the most likely scenario because then they'll probably move into Rollins and
look,
Reigns.
Man, I know you guys are from Iowa and but dude, when Seth Rollins walked out, that stupid grin and that stupid, I was just like, oh no,
dude, I would have held that off until SmackDown. Like have Cesaro come out for some kind of promo or something, and then he gets attacked by Seth. I wouldn't have put it on the show.
I would have held it off for the day after Armageddon. And I'm not talking about the pay-per-view Armageddon.
Yeah, that was... I do like Seth Rollins because he's an Iowan, so I have that in my heart, but I was not happy when he walked out either. I was, no, come on, not right now. And I mean, but I do think that they put over Cesaro extra strong tonight. Like nobody bought he was going to actually win the title, but he wasn't a pushover either. And they made him look strong. Like I said, like he made his way out of that submission. He fought his way out. He lifts up Roman dead weight. Like he made an adamant attempt to get out of that and to win the title. And he actually got you to buy in just a little bit. And so I thought they did about as well as they could. They did better than I thought they would do by Cesaro, to be honest with you.
In terms of like a star rating, like I think this was better than the Bryan match from SmackDown. Personally, in terms of like matches that we all like the guy, but he's just not going to win. I did not buy Cesaro having much of a chance. They have booked Roman Reigns awfully strong to the point that I don't think there's anybody on this roster right now that they are planning on putting over him.
What about the call out that Roman made as he was working over the shoulder to Daniel Bryan during the match? He was like, "Hey, DB." That was cool. And then finally the announcers mentioned he was talking to Bryan. I like that, building off of that, even though, Bryan supposedly a free agent unless he's signed and we don't know. So that was cool. I thought just like psychologically, the way that they built in the stuff with the Usos before the match was smart because it did make you, even though your common sense told you he wasn't going to win, it made you think like a little bit, as I mentioned in our text thread, that like maybe Cesaro pulls it off, right? Like that added to the drama a little bit. So I thought that was smart booking to have that right before Roman went out. But I mean, freaking awesome main event. Great main event. That's why it's hard to rank the show any lower than a C. I think just because that main event really delivered. I mean, if you don't like what Roman Reigns is doing right now, I don't know how you watch pro wrestling at all.
Well, it's so funny. And, one of my issues with WWE, if I could be allotted a few moments here, is like there's fundamental things about the booking that I just don't like that make it hard for me to get into it compared to a lot of people. And like one of them is I hate that there's 2 world champions. I hate it. I will never like it ever. Like you could bring on 7 sharp people that Ryan, who are like, this is why they do it. And I would listen to all 7 and I'd say, I don't care what you guys say. I don't like it. And it's nice that you can explain how it works in theory. Now let me explain 20 years of in practice. And it's funny when you talk about Roman Reigns being as dominant as he is, as impressive as he is in the championship role. Like he is clearly the guy in WWE. And when you have 2 champions like they do, like one for each brand, it limits his pool of contenders. Mm-hmm. And like I said a few moments ago, there's just no one right now that you buy as having a chance to beat this guy, in my opinion. He is like he's the dominant champion. That's what always happens. So it's like silly that you have 2 world champions. Even like Lashley, okay, he can be kind of impressive at times, but he just like he's not even in the same league as Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. Like Roman Reigns is the guy right now. And I don't know, like to me, Roman and Drew, they did it once, but it wasn't nearly as big as it probably could have or should have been. Mm-hmm.
And they did it because they had to do it.
Yes, it's Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that's a silly gimmick.
Mm-hmm. So having Hell in a Cell out of nowhere kind of ruins the stigma of the match. Having the Survivor Series champion versus champion kind of ruins the fact that Roman Drew could have been like a WrestleMania match.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, at least in this case with Hell in a Cell, that it'll be justified with the Drew Lashley program. I think I could sense a blow off there. Who else gets in? I think there's going to be multiple cell matches. Mm-hmm. I don't know who the other ones will be necessarily, but that should be one of them.
Yeah. Ryan in the chat wanted to know, what are our thoughts on McAfee on commentary? So we've been negative on Verk, who has just, he's a newbie. He's never been around the business.
It's not fair to him.
It's not fair to him at all. I said this on the podcast when they first brought him on. It's like, dude, they take this guy with no experience in pro wrestling and they put him on the flagship show and expect him to succeed. Like he takes all this heat from the fans. Obviously, he's not going to be any good. He has to learn, and to learn on the job on WWE's, flagship show is not fair to him at all. But he is not good.
I thought they should have let him call the Michinoku driver for some cred. They were feeding him some facts tonight. Yeah. Did you know that? Yeah. Like, Bobby Lashley, the last time he was in a triple threat, he lost a title.
Yeah. McAfee is better than Adnan Verk, but I don't particularly like him either. to be completely honest, I know this sounds weird because it's pro wrestling. He's just like a little bit over the top, but like over the top in a not believable way. I don't really know how to put it. It's like an inauthentic way. Like you always have people on commentary that are over the top. Jerry Lawler, for example, but like I don't know that it works great for Pat McAfee. He's better than Verk, but I'm not a huge fan so far. I could see where he will work out though, because he is very talented on the microphone. So I don't know. What do you guys think about Pat McAfee?
Is he an announcer or something? Are those guys that talk during matches? Or
yes,
that's why I just enjoyed The Last Man that you want to go to for professional wrestling commentary. Yeah.
He's able to tune it out.
I'll
special
tell you
ability not listening to those guys.
I will tell you what, Justin, if there ever is pro wrestling announcing that is fairly easy to tune out, it is the modern WWE announce team. It is just so vanilla. And that's actually the point I want to make with Pat McAfee. He was brought in because he has kind of this personality, right? That's gotten him famous. I mean, he's got his own show that's pretty famous. And when I listen to him, it feels like they're trying to mold him into a typical WWE announcer, which I think is a colossal error. Like he says the kind of things that you would just expect Corey Graves to say, or any WWE announcer to say, where he's not bringing his own personality. Like, to me, it's like you should just let Pat McAfee call a match like, I hate this, like the casual fan. I hate that so much. But like, he should call it like that. He should be allowed to have his distinct style. And when I listen to him, I'm just like, yeah, you could totally tell they just want him to be fairly quick. He uses the same buzzwords that the other announcers do. When he tries hyping things, sometimes he's a little over the top. Like, I think he claimed Robert Roode is one of the great singles wrestlers of all time today. That's simply not true. He also did, and I joked about it earlier, he was the one who said they're going to be making documentaries about this Tamina title win 30 years from now. And of course, he had to slip on Peacock.
Come on.
So, like, I mean, this is a incredibly unfair statement to make, yet I'll make it anyway. He's not Jesse Ventura, which is like, I think they kind of want him to be like their 2021 answer to Jesse Ventura, and the way it's going, just no way, that's never going to happen. I mean, he's only been doing it for a couple weeks, but who knows?
Yeah. Camille checking in says better than Lawler and his old school jokes. I mean, Lawler had gotten really cringeworthy by the end, which, hey, they recognized enough to take him off at that point. Yeah.
By the end, you mean 2002?
Yeah. He but like in the 90s, Lawler was very good.
Yes.
But yeah. He had gotten basically, once they got to him screaming puppies all the time, he fell back on it. He never was good after he came back from his 2001 firing. Mm-hmm.
I just thought he kind of phoned it in and relied on shtick, like you said, with the puppies, way too much. I loved JR and Paul Heyman, and I think that kind of framed it for me, where I was like, God, I would listen to Lawler when he came back and replaced Heyman. It's like, God, I just loved Heyman so much more than I loved Lawler. I know Bill Simmons was the opposite way, and that made me stop liking Bill Simmons, actually. I read a WWF pay-per-view. He's like, can we get Jerry Lawler back? I was like, I don't know if I like you anymore, sports guy.
Oh, Justin, your boy, Bill Simmons. Yes. Oh,
I like Bill Simmons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, that was WrestleMania Backlash.
The first WWF pay-per-view not to have WrestleMania in the name, but it wasn't WrestleMania.
Yes.
I think they should keep it going. WrestleMania Hell in the Cell.
Yeah.
So, hey, a marketing gimmick that I guess works for him.
It's not a terrible idea, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, even from a web search thing where the term WrestleMania is trending, and you capitalize on that a little bit.
It's better than Vengeance or Stomping Ground or, Fully Loaded. These just generic wrestling pay-per-view terms.
Yeah.
Or Full Gear. Okay, let's be objective.
Yeah, Full Gear is not great. I wanted to mention before we go off the air, guys, that this Wednesday night, Kyle and I will be streaming. You see it on the screen right now over on the Locker Room app.
I saw that pop up and I said, what the hell's going on my computer, man?
I didn't know it was going to start sharing yet, but I was trying to get it ready for the next window. I'll go to it right now. Wednesday night will be our next show. We've been doing this every Wednesday for the last few weeks. Kyle and I get on the Locker Room app. We talk right after Dynamite. It's like an extra bonus show we do every week. We have the normal podcast dropping every Friday morning. And of course, Sunday nights on pay-per-view nights like this. But Wednesday night, if you like our podcast, check it out. It's only on Apple right now, but it will probably be expanding to Android pretty soon because Locker Room was bought by Spotify. So we're kind of waiting for that to blow up. Yeah, but right now, if you go on your Apple devices, search Locker Room, download the app. It's very similar to Clubhouse, if you're familiar with that. And when you get on Locker Room, follow myself. I'm at rdroste, Droste. Kyle is at TRP Kyle on there. And then if you follow me on there, I can send you an invite when we go live. You can also find the shows on the homepage. About 15 minutes after Dynamite goes off the air on Wednesday nights, tune in live on your phone. We're able to take live callers through your cell phones on the app, which is a lot of fun. We've had some really good shows on there. If you want to get access to the Locker Room broadcast as a bonus podcast where you can listen on demand, the only way to get that is on our Patreon page. So if you join up, patreon.com/Top Rope Nation, the link's in the description of the podcast and here on the YouTube page, you get a bonus show from us every single week. So 4 extra locker room shows. We call them Top Rope Nation Extra on Patreon. Plus, you get our monthly Top Rope Nation Classics Deep Dive show, which has always been exclusive to Patreon. We will be doing Wrestle War 92 here in a couple of weeks for May. That's going to be a lot of fun. 5 bonus shows a month for $5. It's the best way to support the show. So, if you don't have access to the locker room app, that's the only way you can hear it. Or maybe you have access on an Apple device, but you want to listen on your own time and not have the phone open for an hour after Dynamite. Just listen on your podcasting app. Best way to do it. So check out the Patreon page. Those shows have been a lot of fun, especially last week's show. If you want to hear what I think, Kyle, was maybe the best 20-second open to any Top Rope Nation podcast ever. The only way to hear it's on Patreon. So support the show on Patreon. You get 5 bonus shows a month, and you got to hear the one that we just did last week. It was good. It's good
I got 4 words for you: Bobby Heenan, Hog Wild 96. I guess that's 5.
Yes,
maybe 6 even.
So hey man, thank you for your support. Thanks for everyone who tuned in tonight. Yeah,
there is one other way you could listen.
Yes,
you could just beat somebody up and take their iPhone.
That's true. That'll work. I don't endorse it, but it will work. Oh man, no, it's been awesome. It's fun. Thank you to Locker Room because they're sponsoring those shows, and so that's been cool to let us do an extra show every week on Wednesday nights. And we didn't even have to steal their iPhones to do it. So,
there you go.
Follow me at Ryan Drosty on Twitter. You can follow Justin at Justin Joint. Kyle's at TRP Kyle. And the show at Top Rope Nation. We are everywhere. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. And, of course, the Facebook discussion group that I mentioned earlier in the show. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. We will be back later this week. Hopefully you guys have a good week. I hope you enjoyed this show. Let us know what you think. topropenation@gmail.com. We'll see you guys next time.
I just won my fantasy basketball league.
Nice. Congrats.
Thank you.
See you guys.